Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I gotta tell you guys, this CitiBike Karen story has been a hell of a story, okay? I mean, it's had a whole lot of twists and turns. It seems like we're finally coming to an end and kind of figuring out exactly what happened in a story that, quite honestly, in a sane world should not be a story at all. Except we don't live in the same world anymore, and we have so many people in this country that is trying to make a whole lot of something out of nothing, that this became a nationwide story, right? A tale of racism, right? The evil white woman trying to get a young black scholar killed, right? Turns out that was not the case, and the race hustlers are in denial, okay? They're in major denial, as we all know that receipts have proven that the City Park Karens, aka Sarah Jane Connolly's story, was truthful, okay? The bike belonged to her. Evidenced by the fact that her lawyer was able to show receipts, okay? They spoke out, gave their side of the story. They proved that she, in fact, did have ownership of the bike, okay? That she didn't steal it despite the claims from the race hustlers of America. And then also the sister of one of the young black scholars who, at least up until now, refused to speak out, also dropped a video in which she accidentally, right, proved that, again, the woman, okay, the pregnant woman was correct in her version of the events and that she, in fact, did not steal the bike. If you guys have not seen this sister snitch on her little brother, you can go ahead and take a look at it now if you haven't seen it. Take a look.
The only reason why Sarah Jane Comrie was able to produce this receipt for this bicycle is because she jumped over this young man standing right here who had his hands on the handlebars, jumped over him, impales herself on his bike, and scans the QR code to begin the ride. How did all of this happen, and how do I know what happened? Because that young man is my little brother. Bike number 5603915 was in my brother's possession from St. Nicholas Ave and Manhattan Ave all the way to First Ave and East 30th Street from the hours of 6:33 p.m. to 7:19 p.m. At 7:19 p.m., they dock the bikes. Sarah Jane Comrie walks up to them, asks, "Hey guys, can I use one of you guys' bikes?" She says this as there are other bikes sitting idle at the bike rack. They politely decline. She asks them again, mentions that she's pregnant, and they still decline. Then, with my brother standing next to the bike with his hands on the handlebars, she jumps onto the bike, sits on the bike, and scans the QR code, thus beginning her ride. Mind you, the bike was in my brother's possession at this time. So this screenshot is from 6 minutes after the previous ride ended. As you can see, 7:25 p.m. Previous ride ended 7:19 p.m. These gentlemen, these boys, did not steal this bike from Sarah Jane Comrie. She stole the bike from them, then proceeded to weaponize her whiteness. Video started being recorded at 7:24 p.m., close to 7:25. My brother's ride that was in the previous screenshot starts at 7:25. The initial ride where my brother rode the bike all the way over to this bike dock ended at 7:19 p.m. There were a number of bikes at the bike rack already there when she arrived. She still proceeded to try to take the bike from my brother. Help, help, help. Trying to make it seem like these boys stole this bike from her. The bike is on my brother's account. It is not defamation of character if the way that you behave reflected your character.
Yeah, so let's just hope that the young black scholar's older sister does not have a career in being somebody's defense attorney in the future, okay? Because she's gonna get a whole lot of people locked up, okay? Because she definitely snitched on her brother. She basically admitted on video, with receipts, by the way, that her brother docked the bike at 7:19, which means that the bike no longer belonged to him, right? It's a public bike. It did not belong to him anymore. However, he tried to sit on it for 5 to 6 minutes straight for whatever reason until Sarah Jane Connolly tried to rent the bike herself, in which he basically stopped her from renting the bike, okay? At 7:24, he made her re-rack the bike even though she had already rented the bike. and then proceeded to record her and to cry racism and to take the bike from her, to kick her off the bike, a pregnant woman, and then take the bike for himself just to go nowhere, right? That is what those receipts proved. Again, she doesn't even realize that she basically incriminated her own brother and proved that the lady had every right to try to take the bike. Okay, so we're actually getting more information about what happened now, because the mother of the young black scholar is speaking out along with the 17-year-old young black scholar himself. And I want to read this story because they're basically crying victimhood. And they did this interview with News One, which is a black publication. So you know that they're doing this on home field, right? There's going to be no pushback, right? They're not going to ask any real questions about this story. But again, they're crying victimhood here, and they're trying to say that they're the actual real victims. And just reading this, and what this mother is saying is absolutely comical, right? So let's laugh together, because I want y'all to understand that the whole goal of them now speaking out is that they're trying to raise money, right? Because Sarah Jane Connery received over $100,000 from GoFundMe, and these people are trying to replicate the same thing by crying victimhood, by crying racism, right? That's what's happening here. And it's absolutely hilarious because you have idiots, you have dummies, because you are a dummy if you donate to this. You have dummies that are going to donate to this, okay? Because they're going to believe this stupid story that they're going to tell about how this happened. When the reality is that the family was wrong, the young black scholars was wrong. But again, long story short, for those of you guys, again, who won't finish the whole video because it's going to be long, this is a grift, right? They're trying to raise money. And they're trying to play the woe is me, we're victims, we're poor, we're black, right? It's racist white conservatives that are attacking us. Please give us $100,000. That's what's happening here. It's the oldest grift in the book. Again, the most valuable currency in 2023 is victimhood. Here's your proof. Mary and Michael are eager to talk to me, but Betty, their mother, is reluctant to let Michael speak with anyone. He's only 17 years old. Quote, he's my baby, Betty says. He's a senior in high school. He should be planning to attend his prom and looking forward to walking the stage at his graduation in a few weeks. But instead, he and his family have spent the last week and a half living in turmoil, right? Him and his family have spent the last week or so living in turmoil, okay? I want you guys to understand the framing here. This is hilarious. Michael is the teen in the infamous CitiBike video with Sarah Jane Comrie, the woman who has been accused of weaponizing whiteness and her tears in an effort to take the bike from the teen in New York City. Betty has seen video after video of racists and trolls calling her son a thug and a thief and labeling him as a man when, in her words, he's just a boy. Guys, where have we heard this before, right? Where have we heard this before? Apparently, if you don't agree with the young black scholar here, right? If you don't agree that this woman was weaponizing her whiteness to try to steal a bike from him, which, you know, statistically speaking, from a criminology standpoint, it's just impossible, right? It does not happen. Apparently, you are a racist, okay? You're a racist. It hurts her that people are saying these things that she knows are not true about him. Betty is upset because she says the narrative has been one-sided. Again, hilarious. Quote, no one bothered to contact us to find out Michael's story, she said in a low voice during an interview on Wednesday. Quote, they write all of these things about him, but no one bothered to ask him what happened or look at his receipts. Michael interjected, that's because if they have my side of the story, she doesn't have a case. Mary agreed with him, saying, right. Okay, so this is just patently false. Again, I just love how they're trying to play victim here. As if Sarah Jane Comrie, the woman that these young scholars tried to out as a racist, has not gone through turmoil. I mean, think about who has gone through the most here. Is it these young black scholars who up until this point, nobody knew who they were? Or this white woman who's pregnant who was smeared as a racist, falsely smeared as a racist and accused of trying to steal a bike from young black teenagers? I'm just saying, the fact that these people are trying to act like the narrative has been one-sided is comical, is laughable, right? It only became one-sided when it became clear that that woman had rights to that bike. Now that the real truth has come out, now the family of the young black scholar wants to come out here and cry victim, right? And try to pretend that nobody wanted to talk to, the young black scholar, when it's like, no, these are the most wanted black men in America right now, right? All these media outlets that are potentially facing defamation lawsuits for basically causing the pregnant woman turmoil, right? They want to talk to your son. Why? Because that's the only way they can get out of being sued, right? So again, this is just comical. It is absolutely comical that this is being said. Throughout the entire 50-minute interview with Betty and her children, she had her phone out watching video after video of conservatives and racists saying negative things about her baby. Well, I guess I must be a racist, right? Because again, criticizing her baby, right, who's a 17-year-old, he's basically almost a man. Yeah, that makes you a racist. Amazing. She is afraid that someone will try to harm her son or her family. That's not happening, right? Nobody cares that much. Quote, no one is helping us, she said, her voice cracking. Quote, we are poor people. We are immigrants. We can't afford a lawyer. Yeah, so I'm going to summarize this next section to not make this video so long. Basically, they're from the Bronx, and they ride the bikes, okay? Michael, the young black scholar in the video, he's an avid rider of CitiBike, okay? And apparently he likes to check out the new e-bikes CitiBike has out, and they ride them all over New York City. On this day, he was riding the bike from the Bronx to Harlem or whatever, right? So that's basically the reason why he was riding the bike. He rides the bikes a lot, okay? This is what the family's saying. Quote, I use CitiBike every day, Michael said. I use the bikes to get to and from school. If I'm traveling anywhere in the city, even if it's from here to Brooklyn, my first option is CitiBike. It's my preferred mode of transport. It's like my car, he added. Michael said he and his friends, who are all from immigrant West African families, understand CitiBike in all its programs. They use them because for teenagers like themselves, it's a cheaper option than taking the subway from borough to borough. Michael said that day they walked around the Bronx for 20 minutes before they found the highly coveted but hard to find new e-bikes. They took the bikes to Harlem first, where they stopped riding after 45 minutes. Michael explained that because his family receives some public assistance, he gets a discount on CitiBike rides, but after 45 minutes, the rate of the bike increases. So you guys see the narrative that's been painted here? Oh, this family is poor. They're poor. It justifies what Michael's gonna do, right? That's what's happening here. They're poor and black, right? And they want you to feel bad for what Michael's about to do here, which basically is, I guess you can characterize as maybe theft. Okay, you could say that. So let's read more here. Michael said he pays for his own CitiBike account, and in order to avoid the higher charges, he frequently stops his rides before they go over 45 minutes to rest and redock the bike. Redocking the bike resets the timer, allowing him to ride for another 45 minutes before stopping again. Quote, even regular e-bike riders do this, Mary explained. The price goes up after 45 minutes for everyone, so people routinely ride their bikes, dock their bikes, ride their bikes, and dock their bikes again. Okay, so here's the problem with that. That doesn't matter, right? That doesn't matter because at the end of the day, once you dock the bike, it's no longer your bike. It's not in your possession just because you grabbed the bike. Those bikes are available to be rented by anybody. Just because you don't want to pay more money to rent the bike for more than 45 minutes doesn't justify you holding on to the bike even though you're not paying for it. Again, that is called what? That is called theft, right? That is called stealing. Okay, you're not allowing other people to use something that does not belong to you. But again, this is a story they're coming up with to try to justify something that's not justifiable. And they're just digging themselves in a deeper hole here. And they're trying to play victim when you're not a victim in this situation. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, this whole story is going to come down to what I believe is just manners, right? And home training. Okay, let's read more here. Michael said after resting in Harlem for a bit, the boys continued riding into the lower east side of Manhattan. They grabbed frozen yogurt and then headed to the CitiBike docking station at First Ave and East 30th Street near Bellevue Hospital in the Kips Bay neighborhood. They docked their bikes at 7:19 p.m. and sat there to rest. Michael insisted he and his friends never left the bikes unattended. They don't leave the bikes. Michael said all four of his friends also have the same CitiBike reduced fare membership, so they dock the bikes to stop the timer from going over 45 minutes. Oh, poor boys, right? They're poor. They're poor. That's why they're doing it. So that's why again, you see how they're trying to justify their actions here, right? It's just amazing. Four of the boys were sitting on their bikes as they rested, but Michael was standing next to his with his hand on the handlebars. They were there for a few minutes when he said Sarah Jane Comrie approached their group. She initially asked one of Michael's friends if she could take the bike he was resting on. He politely declined, informing her that they were going to be leaving shortly and using the bikes again. She next approached a different boy in the group and asked him the same thing. That boy also politely declined. Michael was still standing near his bike with his hand on the handlebars. According to Michael, Sarah Jane Comrie asked him, quote, "Can I please have this bike?" Michael said he declined. "No, I'm about to take it back out," he told her. Michael said Sarah Jane Comrie then said to him, quote, "I'm pregnant. Can you help a pregnant woman out?" Michael said he then told her, quote, "I'm sorry, ma'am. I've ridden this bike all the way from the Bronx. I need this bike to go back home." So again, this is why I say this is where manners comes in, right? If that was me, right, as a man, okay, even if I was a teenager, 17 years old, I would have given her the bike. Why would I have given her the bike? It's because she's a pregnant, older woman. And regardless of how I wanted to get home, I would have said, I'll figure it out, right? I will figure out how to get home, but I'm going to let this woman take this bike because she needs this bike for whatever reason. Now, again, the reason why she needs the bike over the other bikes that were available, okay, according to them, is because it's an e-bike. So I'm pretty sure it's easier for her to ride, okay? Which, again, is important considering that she's pregnant. And that could have been the reason why she really wanted that bike as opposed to going to take other bikes. But again, none of this stuff matters because you can't just sit on a bike because you don't want to pay more, right? If you need to rest, then you got to pay, right? If you want to keep that bike, if you want to reserve that bike, you have to pay. I don't care if it charges you more if you have it for more than 45 minutes. That's irrelevant. Again, they're trying to justify stealing. That's what they're trying to do. Because if you're trying to game the system, you're saying, well, I'm going to rack it and I'm going to redock it, but I'm actually going to still keep it in my possession just so I don't get charged. You're trying to game the system. There's a reason why you get charged more for holding it for more than 45 minutes. It's because other riders can't use it. You're taking it away from other riders. You're basically using a bike for an extended amount of time. That costs the company money. So you're trying to game the system and you're trying to justify by saying, oh, well, we're poor. Again, this is not making you look better. It's actually making you look worse. Because to me, it's making me have questions about how she raised her son, right? Are you raising your son not to help pregnant women out, right? Which again, apparently that's a thing, okay? Because, feminism killed chivalry, right? So again, I guess we don't expect young boys to help out older women, okay? Or to, inconvenience themselves or to go out of their way to inconvenience themselves to help people, older people, help adults or whatever. So, hey, I don't know. But also on top of that, again, you are also just admitting that you're trying to game the system, right? And because you're so poor that you need to game the system, that's why you justified, again, trying to sit on a bike that did not belong to you. Michael says that is when Sarah Jane Comrie moved closer to him and his bike, leaned over him and scanned the QR code with her phone, even as he had his hand on the handlebars. She then pushed her way onto the bike and attempted to remove it from the docking station and take it. It was 7:24 p.m. and that is when the boys began recording. So keep in mind, this is their side of the story. They want you to believe that a pregnant woman, according to the young scholar's sister, jumped over, right? Jumped over the bike, okay, to take it, okay? She did all this, right? So she attempted to snatch a bike from young black teenage scholars. This is what they want you to believe. Now, again, it can be true, right? I'm not saying it's not, but I'm saying this is what they want you to believe. It was 7:24 p.m., and that is when the boys began recording. You can hear them in a video calling for someone to record Sarah Jane Comrie at the beginning of the footage. Quote, if someone is using something, Mary interjected empathetically, there are obvious physical cues to let you know when something is in use or someone is planning to use something. Michael insisted Sarah Jane Comrie knew he was planning to use the bike. He said she asked him and his friends to use theirs, and they all informed her they were using the bikes and would be leaving shortly. Again, it's a shame. Not one young man decided to help out a pregnant woman. Crazy, right? And I know some people gonna disagree with me and say, well, they don't have to do that. Well, they don't. But again, that is what I would do, right? I was raised to do that. But again, apparently it's not a thing anymore. He said she seemed annoyed that they wouldn't willingly give up their bikes to her. He also said he believes she wanted that bike as opposed to the others that remained docked in the rack because he had one of the newer e-bikes. Again, which would make sense because she's pregnant, right? She's pregnant. And again, this is something that they should be sympathetic towards, in my opinion, right? I mean, she's pregnant. Why don't you use one of the other bikes? You don't need an e-bike. Why don't you, get some exercise, right? And use one of the other bikes that, aren't electric. But see, that has never come up, right? People aren't talking about that enough. Again, you have a pregnant woman. You know that you have the only e-bike by their own admission that, hey, we have these newer e-bikes or whatever. There are other bikes available. Why don't you take the other bike, right? Again, you're a teenager. You're a young 17-year-old teenager. It's much easier for you to physically ride a bike than a pregnant woman. Again, this teenager should have given the bike to the pregnant woman. He should have. He should have. But again, no. What society is telling us is no. The pregnant woman should have deferred to the teenager. When actually it's the other way around. Because I thought, again, men were expected to do that. But again, apparently you don't raise young boys like that anymore. Apparently you're not expected to do that. It's crazy how society has just decayed, right? It's just decayed. The rest of the interaction plays out on the video. Sarah Jane Comrie, dressed in scrubs, bearing the NYC Health plus hospital logo, removed her work ID badge from her neck, placed it in her bag along with a brown paper bag she was holding, and began screaming for help. The boys can be heard repeatedly telling her it's not her bike. During the film part of the interaction, Michael was able to successfully push the bike back into the dock. He said he then entered the bike's number into his phone to put the reservation back on his account. Michael said when Sarah Jane Comrie noticed him doing this, she snatched his phone out of his hand, which is shown in the video. Yeah, but I mean, because she basically had just reserved the bike, right? Now he's trying to take the bike from her. I mean, again, it's amazing, right? It's absolutely amazing. So we know that the young scholar's story contradicts the lawyer's story, because the lawyer says that they weren't actually at the bikes and that they ran over to her when they saw her trying to take a bike. Now, again, do I know which one is true and which one is not true? No, I don't. But again, what's happening there is that this family is coming out and they're crying victim, and they're mad because the truth has come out, and the woman that they tried to smear as a racist is actually benefiting now, right? They're upset. Again, they're trying to play victim. The impact of all this on a 17-year-old black boy in America. Quote, I can't say that all of this is not affecting me, Michael said. Well, it's really not, because nobody knew who you were up until this point. So to say that you're being affected is kind of crazy, because nobody knew who you were, right? At first, I felt supported. I was like, I went through this thing. People saw the video and they were supporting me. Yeah, when you were getting all the support in the world, smearing the woman as a racist. But all that changed when Marino put out his statement in the media. When those receipts got released, everything flipped. Michael said people started calling me a thief, a thug, and a black man. I mean, are you not a black man? Now, I don't know if you're a thug, but I mean, thief. I mean, hey, you admitted to basically keeping other people from using a bike that you were not renting, okay, that you were not paying for. Again, thief there is not really an inaccurate way to describe what you were actively doing at the moment. I'm just saying. Again, if you wanted to rest, you needed to rest without docking the bike, right? That's just kind of how it goes. I'm sorry. And you got to pay, right? You got to pay. It's definitely having an effect on me, he continued. It was just like, wow, this is crazy. Michael added she did something wrong and she basically got rewarded for it. She made over $100,000 on a GoFundMe. She got all the white conservatives on her side. Everyone who was on my side has just kind of stayed silent because they're wrong and they don't want to get sued for defamation. Now, here's the thing. It's not about black and white. It's about the fact that none of this would have happened had you just given up your bike to the pregnant woman. You had other bikes to take. As a young man who's more physically fit and able to ride a bike, you should have done the right thing and give her the bike. If you would have did that, and if you would have took your phone out and started recording, trying to cry victimhood, then none of this would have happened. She wouldn't have got $100,000. right? Again, it's just absolutely amazing how these people try to turn it around and make themselves seem like the victim when the truth comes out that, hey, you know, this didn't happen the way they tried to make it out. It's absolutely hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. So yeah, they're just crying victimhood here. She's talking about how, you know, this situation is driving me crazy, making me sick. I've never been in this situation before. You know, what they're trying to do here, honestly, is trying to draw up sympathy tears so that they can get a GoFundMe, right? This is what they want. Okay, this is what they want. They want a GoFundMe so that they can get $100,000 raised for them. This is pathetic. It really is. Let's read this silly statement real quick, right? So with a white woman standing there and screaming for someone to help, if the police had come and my son was standing there, they're going to shoot him. If he runs, they're going to shoot him. Again, bullshit, right? Nothing but bullshit. Everyone is taking her side because she is rich and she is white and she hired a lawyer and the lawyer is defending her. They put it all over the television and no one tried to find out who the boy is who could have lost his life. They didn't find out who the family is. Everybody just ignored us like we don't matter. That's ridiculous. Rashard Ritchie was begging for y'all to come out. All these media outlets were begging for these people to come out, right? That's what they were begging for. Again, this is crazy. Quote, I don't care how much money that lady is getting, because if I were to lose my son, the whole world full of money would not bring him back. Yes, we are immigrants. Yes, we are poor, but we are not thieves. I get EBT because I wish I could afford to feed my children, but I can't. I work 7 days a week. We aren't hurting anybody. Wow. Wow, they want to go fund me, right? They want to go fund me. Not even sure if their side of the story is true at this point, right? Because they came out and said this story after the lawyer. They should have came out at first, okay, and provided receipts. Had they did that at first, maybe people would be thinking a little bit differently about the story had they said this at first. But the fact that they said nothing and they allowed this woman to be smeared, and now all of a sudden they want to say something when the tables have turned, it's just hilarious to me. They want to play victim. You're not a victim. If your son had just given up the bike like he should have to a pregnant woman, okay, then he would have been fine. This wouldn't have happened. If they not tried to record it and try to play victim, okay, then this would not have happened. If he had not tried to sit on the bike without paying for it, then this would not have happened. So I don't want to hear the sympathy tears. I don't care if you're poor, right? That doesn't excuse basically sitting on a bike that you're not paying for because, hey, I don't want to pay extra money. That's crazy. At the end of the day, she had rights to take the bike because you were sitting on the bike. You were sitting on the bike, right? And you can't do that, right? It wasn't yours. So, again, this story is over, right? But, again, they're trying to raise money off this. They're trying to get sympathy tears. And we'll see if it works. There'll be some dummies that will donate to them because, you know, hey, they experienced racism from people like me who simply just said, look, you know, we don't believe you, right? You're not right. You're in the wrong. But, you know, it is what it is. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.